Thank you so much, Matt, for jumping on the potty.
That's all right. I'm pretty keen.
Yes. Is this your first podcast?
It is, actually, yeah.
How exciting.
It's very exciting.
How exciting. So, Matt, you've had one babe.
Yes, I had one. Got a little girl.
Little girl.
Yeah, Maggie. She's just over 9 months now.
Perfect. And Abbey is your wife. She came through natural birth code through her pregnancy. You guys did the birth workshop. Yep. So exciting.
Yeah, it was. It definitely helped. I can definitely say that. But yeah, it was very exciting. Abs organised it all. But yeah, definitely got yourself prepared for what was about to happen.
So good.
It was awesome.
So good. So I'm intrigued, firstly, when you guys fell pregnant or even a little bit beforehand, what was your general perception on birth? How did you kind of feel towards it?
I always thought my personal perspective was like, yeah, it's going to be probably one of the toughest things that a woman will have to go through. As a dad or as a man, it's like, what do we actually need to do? And there was a lot of question marks around that because I was like, one, never done this before, never been through this experience. So it's like, okay, well, how do we support our, the woman that we love to go through this, monumental, I'd say, struggle.
Yeah.
Like physically.
Yeah.
But it's one of the most joyous, breathtaking moments of your life that you can just never erase. Like it was just magic.
Amazing.
It's hard to say, it is like physically straining and very, was it not forthcoming, but like in your face, but It's just magic.
Yes. Incredible. So you would say at the start of pregnancy, did you kind of feel like you had a role to play, but there was question marks around what that involved?
Yeah, I during pregnancy, I always knew, step up, if she wasn't feeling well or like tired, then it's like, okay, just tend to her needs. So It's just like glasses of water, coffees, breakfast, whatever you can do just to help in those moments goes a long way. But when it came down to the more like physical side of things, and it's like, the labour and what to expect, it's like, I had no idea what we as a man was supposed to do, or how can we just support in that sense.
Yes. I think that's so cool, though, that you even had the thought and the question mark, because I feel like a lot of men, are rightfully so, would just think like, there's nothing I can do. I've just kind of got to be there, but there's not really any place for me there.
Yeah, and that's completely wrong. Like, there is a place definitely for you. And, of course, going through the course when Abbey organised it and going in with an open mind and then realising, oh, wow, look at how much we can actually do in this moment when, your wife or your spouse just can't think logically.
Yeah.
And it's not like that's not having a dig. It's just like there's a lot of things happening, a lot of hormones, a lot of emotions, a lot of pain.
Yeah.
And then it's like, you're just there as their emotional rock to go, just, breathe, calm. Let's, you just got to roll with the emotion, just roll with it. And then, everything at the end is then just unreal.
Yes. That's such a great point. You're there as a part of your role is being their logical mind, and that's why being, aware of the birth desires and the choices and the decision-making process that you both want to take for your wife, she wants to take for herself, and for both of your child. That's why it's so important for you guys to be so aware, because you are that logical mind making the decisions during the time.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
Amazing. How did your perspective of your role in the birth develop throughout the pregnancy as you learnt stuff, as you and Ab spoke, as you did the birth workshop, stuff like that?
Yeah, so my role, as soon as I started learning a bit of things and reading and Ab's sharing information, it's like, okay, I can definitely take some of this on board and step up a little bit.
Awesome.
In terms of like going through when we're in hospital, it's just, you're there as just every tender need, holding their hand, wiping the sweat off their forehead, helping them breathe, like just sitting there, rubbing their back, just honestly anything. I was just like, I just won't talk. Anything you need, I'll get.
So good.
But early stages, it's like, for me, I didn't feel like too much had changed. It was just more that sort of tenderness and support of like, if you're, had a big day, you're tired, I'll just grab, we can do dinner, or, if you don't want to do anything today, let's just have a chill day at home. Mm-hmm. It's just you got to be very in tune with your partner, and at times that can get obviously confused. Like not difference of opinion, but you might have one idea in mind, and then partner has another, and things can change. But it's just you got to be pretty solid as a team and on the same page, and I think that sets up a pretty good foundation for then the next few stages going into birth and then into the next stage of parenting.
100%. Yeah, couldn't agree more. Absolutely. So what was in your kind of tool belt for you when you entered birth? Okay, I'm going to, maybe do this with, say, positioning, or I'm going to offer this then, or this is what I'm going to say then. What do you think there?
Yeah, so it was almost like if I had a textbook, it would have probably helped me a bit better. And if I took some notes, but from memory, it was more, the positionings was probably the biggest one, and knowing the transitions through labour. So like when we were learning that, I was like, oh, this is interesting. So Abby's belly did drop about a week before we went in, and we kind of noticed something. And a lady in the shop one day made a comment, and they're like, oh, you go in front, and they're like, how far along are you? And she's like, oh, we're right at the end, probably next week. We're just past our due date. And then she's like, yeah, you're not. She's like, your belly's dropped, so you're probably not too far. And sort of second guess. So I was like, what do you mean? And then I'm like, oh, maybe it has.
Yeah.
But the early onset, so Abbey was saying, oh, I can feel this pain. And then I was like, oh, okay, is it a contraction, or is it, Bub's pushing down? And she's like, oh, I'm not sure. And then it's like, okay, well, let's start just trying to do some positions just to try to help her transition. And then it would go away. It would come back, go away. And then like breathing, and then the timing. I was sitting there with the watch and just like watching it all unfold.
So good.
But then it obviously, all got to the point where it's like, it's go time to go to hospital. So that was, once we got there, everything was probably a little bit more calming for us as parents going through it, just because we knew we were in a pretty safe space with help around, because, again, we both have never done this before.
Yes. You just feel like such a fish out of water, hey?
You do, yeah. It's very, it's very confronting and confusing, but you just have all the support around you, and it just makes your energy levels all calm. You're not stressed. And that's the biggest thing, is you just don't be stressed in that, because then that rubs off onto your partner, and you just don't want that to happen.
That is so important.
Yeah.
Yes.
Definitely just be calm. And that was the biggest thing, is low heart rates, a lot of breathing, just calming. It is hard for a dad, but it's just, you put yourself third. You're there for your wife or your spouse, and you're there for your baby. So you just go, whatever I'm feeling right now, doesn't matter. It's all on them, and then we can deal with it later.
It's so true, and it sounds a little bit harsh, I think, but it's just so true. They just need your full calm and presence in that moment. The second you freak out, she's going to freak out. You were her rock in that moment, and you're absolutely right. You do have to come third in that phase.
Yeah, I mean, there's probably other dads out there that, definitely have difference of opinion, or, other people out there, or other mums that, have that. But it's definitely like, that was my take onto it. It's like, nah, I'm third. Whatever their needs are comes first.
Yeah.
And they always will. Like my wife and my daughter, they always come first.
Yes. I wonder, I've given this a lot of thought, because you're right, it's so confronting for everyone, but for dads. And I've pondered a lot, how can we make it less confronting, especially for first-time dads? And I just don't think it's possible. They have to experience it.
That's it. I don't think there's no tip in the tool belt, or there's no rule in a book that says, this is what childbirth is going to be like. I mean, yes, you can watch videos and read about it, but there's nothing that's physically and emotionally going to prepare you for what will happen, when your partner's giving birth.
Yes.
And it's right. You just have to go through it. Like, I've had a couple of my mates, they're first-time dads, and, one of them, he's got a son and a daughter, like 2 beautiful kids, and that's it. We asked him, like, oh, how was it? And he just smiles and goes, it's one of those things that you just have to do. And I just laughed. I was like, yeah, that sounds about right. And there's all the old school analogies that your parents might tell you or you hear, but it's kind of just like, oh, you just have to go through it.
Absolutely. I love that he said that because, that's so much better than being like, oh, it's cooked, or oh, it's scary, oh, it's the
it's
worst
like watching
thing.
your favourite pub burn
down. Yes.
That old chestnut.
That old chestnut. I fucking hate that one.
Yeah, that's why it's like, it definitely isn't like that.
Yeah.
That is for sure.
Can confirm, dads, it's not like that.
It's definitely not like that.
So amazing. So amazing. So from there, you kind of went into how you were in early labour at home, you were supporting at home, and then you went to hospital and you felt this kind of relieving feeling. What kind of happened from there in the sense of like birth stories, how everything went down?
So it was a pretty long stint. I think it was either just under or just over 25 hours. So
okay.
It was very, so the contractions were coming, obviously, and then we went in, and the calmness of the room. So we were in SCOO, and we went into one of the birthing suites, which had, I think it was Budrum Falls on the background.
Oh, yeah.
And they already had fairy lights up.
So good.
And then a few tips from the courses, like you can take diffusers, fairy lights, toys, like bears, whatever is going to make the room or whatever the space that, you want to give birth in, make it yours.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure we took 2 suitcases and about 3 bags of different things of just clothes and things to make it home.
Yes.
So we took a lot of things, definitely took a diffuser, a few more fairy lights and just stuff to make it homely.
Amazing.
And it was amazing. So through that journey, the contractions were pretty long. So we knew we were still really early. But then they got more, through the journey, they got more erratic.
Yeah.
And they weren't, even the midwives, they spoke to us and they put the Doppler on Abbey's belly to try to monitor Bub's heart rate. But because she kept moving so much, they kept positioning it. So it was quite funny. It was like a game.
Yeah.
But the Abbey's contractions were very irregular. So the midwives are saying, okay, so you're having 2 in the space of 10 minutes, but then you're ramping it up to 6. So she would have a 30-second break and then have a 2-minute contraction, and then might be a 10-second break, and then we're going again. So they're saying they were very irregular. And it wasn't that Bubs was distressed or anything. It was just her way of, getting ready to come out. But, that was watching, Abbey go through that was very confronting because you do, as a dad, you feel helpless. Like, there's nothing physically we can do. Like, it's not pain medication. It's just going to happen. So I was like helping her breathe, holding her hands, and so like squeeze my hands, just dig your nails into me, just anything to help. So it got quite erratic. And original plan, we would have loved to have done a water birth, and they had the tub and everything there, but unfortunately, the Doppler wasn't working, so they had to put the clip on Bub's head. So then they said, oh, well, that kind of unfortunately ruled that out. But again, as part of the class, you got to have plans A, B, C through to Z.
So true.
You got to be expecting that your original plan may unfortunately not happen. But Abby and I both, we did have the discussion, and it's like, well, whatever we need to do to hopefully deliver her as safely as we can is what we will do. And, plans change during it, and you just have to be adaptable to those changes.
So good.
Yeah.
So good. So good. Yeah, that's so true. Did they have that, the Doppler thing, the CTG, did they have that on because the contractions were so intense and frequent?
Yeah, and watching it as just trying to help during the process, I could see Abby's heart rate and my daughter's heart rate, and I could see when my daughter's heart rate was coming up, and I said, okay, this is leading into a contraction because she's getting all excited. So I said to Abby, okay, we're going to have to prepare for the next one. Are you ready? Start breathing. We kind of picked a heart rate, or we just picked a moment when she's like, I'm starting to get uncomfortable, and it's like, okay, we'll start breathing now.
Yes.
And then it would all unfold, and it was just a big wave of these irregularities and everything, and I was just, just had to pick your moments to help.
Yes. So, and that was her body naturally contracting in that pattern, hey?
Yeah, absolutely,
Isn't that interesting?
So, the midwife said they haven't seen many like this before. Like, there was so many in such a short period of time. Her body wasn't resting, so... she was getting physically exhausted because her body's going through so much, and it's not. There's nothing. Again, we can't do anything. It's just natural progression of her own body.
Yeah.
But it was just it was a lot physically exhausting, which towards the end was could definitely start it to see the effect of like just physical exhaustion.
Yes. Was she experiencing back pain at all with those contractions?
A little bit, yeah.
A little bit.
When she was saying with the contractions, she would always say, oh, I'm feeling something here.
Yeah.
Oh, and then I'm feeling it down here. And then I was like, oh, we're on the second stage, so, let's try and sit on the ball. And I think she ended up sitting on the ball in the shower for like 3 hours, just, trying to work it out. And the midwife was there helping her. But, she would just explain where she was feeling a lot of the pain.
Interesting.
Right at the end, it was right at the top of Abby's pelvis where she was experiencing most of it.
Interesting.
And I mean, by that stage, there was a lot of other people in the room, and they were doing most of the talking, and they said, okay, you just got to keep pushing and it'll all come through.
Yeah.
But, in that mindset of the pain, it was just like, I can't. And
yes.
And that's where, as a dad, when you hear them, I can't, you just have to be really reassuring and just say, I know what you're going through is a lot. Let's just breathe and we'll push together. Yeah. And you just got to be there to support them because, you can't just can't do it for them.
You hit the nail on the head,
Unfortunately,
Matt.
as a bloke, we don't go through childbirth as men. The woman does, and we can't do it for them, but you just got to support them, no matter what it is.
Oh, that's so fucking powerful. I could not agree more. That's exactly it. And when you said, so she thinks that she can't, which is such a normal response of a labouring woman, to feel that doubt, to feel that fear, to feel that overwhelm. And the worst thing we can do is reassure that she can't by being like, yes, like, let's get the epidural, let's go do something. And if that's what she wants, that's fine. But she doesn't need our reassurance that she can't do it in that moment. That is her needing the reassurance that she can do it. She is strong enough. She is capable. She is all of these sorts of things to be able to get through that moment of doubt and fear. So, that's just so awesome that was your response.
Yeah, well, ultimately that's it. Yeah, because again, that leads into the stress. Like if you're stressed, that's going to rub off. So any doubt that you're going to put sort of not unintentionally can have a whirlwind of effect throughout the experience. So you just got to be that positive ball of energy. Yeah. And just be there for them.
Yes, absolutely. And was it you? I feel like it was you that told me about Hamish's podcast, How the Dad's Dad.
Maybe.
Have you listened to it?
I haven't actually. I think I've tried, but no, I haven't.
Must have been someone else that told me because they were listening to it. But he said an amazing quote in that podcast that I just loved, and you just regurgitated it in a different way, where he said, in birth, you have to accept as the dad that you cannot fight the fight for them. They are in the cave doing this big kind of, as you say, physical struggle, mental struggle of birth, which, take that with a grain of salt. You don't have to call it struggle, call it whatever. But All you can do as the dad is tell them how good they are, how amazing they are, how much they can do it, protect the cave, protect the environment, but you can't go in and try to fight the fight for them, nor should you be taking away that fight by being like, fuck, like I'm scared, I don't know what to do, so you should get the epidural to make me feel better.
That's right, yeah. Like, that's 100% it. Like, yeah, just have their back.
Yeah.
Ultimately, yeah, let them fight their own fight, but, you know, like you said, yeah, protect the cave, protect them, be that positive reassurance, just do anything, even if whatever they say, just do it. Like, don't argue, don't talk back, just say, oh, can you please run down and get me a coffee or glass of water, or can you rub my back? Just say yes.
Yes.
Don't think, just do.
Oh, love. I just want to confirm. No judgment to dads who maybe did have the response of being overwhelmed and going otherwise, because it is so wildly overwhelming, and I've felt the exact same.
That's
before,
right. Like
so.
I'm like, that's just my personal experience. Like, again, every dad is going to have a different opinion. It's just what I found easiest for myself and my wife and my daughter. But again, take it as however you want. Your experience is your experience. Yeah. Just make it as magical as possible, because it is just a magical moment.
Ah, totally. So, what happened after that? She was feeling pains in certain places, getting lots of contractions. Yeah. What happened from there?
So they kind of got to the point where it was too much. So we did end up getting the epidural. Yeah. It was Abbey's allergic to morphine, so it was a non-morphined epidural. Yeah. Which then again limited what positions and where we could do it. So that made it okay. We're on the bed for the birth. Yeah. And that definitely did settle a lot once it sort of kicked in. Yeah. She did get some sleep because, when was that? Might have been like 9 or 10 o'clock the following night. So we went in. Was it Wednesday? Might have been Wednesday or Thursday at 1 a.m. in the morning. And then we went into the room. We had the whole room. And then, so we were there all day, all night. And then it just got to the point where it was like, I need to sleep. Like, we both did. But again, Abbey, you don't care about sleep for your dad. Yeah. It's the wife. So it's like, and that gave her some sort of peace and some ease a little bit of the pain. We battled it as much as we could. Definitely. And then we both had to be on the same page. Like, she didn't want to, and I said, okay, well, only if you ask me 15 times. Yeah. Then okay. And like, that's not a controlling thing. It was like we came in with the game plan, and again, that's your tactical book of plan A, B, C.
To clarify, that's what we call setting the standards. So that's such a good example of it. Yeah, because she's going to ask for the epidural. That's going to happen no matter what, and there's going to be times where she truly wants it, and then absolutely go for it. And there's going to be times where she's like, fuck, like that was just me having a emotional response. I didn't actually want it. So your plan.
100%, yeah. So there was times where, I need it, I don't. And then it's like, okay, well, let's just, you ask me for the 30th time, 15th time, well then we've got to be on the same page. And it's like, okay, just whatever's going to ease it. So we did that.
Amazing.
That did help a lot of things. And then it got to, so when we first went in, Abbey was only like 1 centimetre dilated or something. So we're still very early. As the day progressed, we ended up getting into like the 5s and 6s. Then that's when the contractions really started to become erratic, was sort of midway through. And then we got the epidural, a couple of hours of sleep, let things develop by themselves. Then it got to about midnight on the 9th of June. It was midnight, yeah, 8th. I can't remember. Time was escaping. Yeah. And then it was like, okay, we're at 10 centimetres. So
amazing.
The midwife's like, you're ready to push. And we're like, okay, so it's go time. Yeah. The main go time. Yeah. A lot has happened up until this point. And then, we started going through that and got to about an hour. And, her head was right there. Like, we could see her, like, for the first time, apart from the ultrasounds, but physically see her. But that's when.
Crazy.
But during that, this is where the epidural didn't help because she twisted and rotated as she was coming out. So she got stuck with her shoulders, which was causing a lot of pain on Abby's top pelvic bone.
Yeah.
And that's when she's like, I can't push. And she was trying and she was doing everything, but unfortunately Bubs was just sort of, she didn't want to come out. She just lodged herself in there and was like, I'm happy here.
Was her head out? Yeah.
They literally, the midwife's like, her head's there.
Yes.
But we can't.
Yes. That's a classic shoulder dystocia.
Yeah. She couldn't push her physically without a little bit of help.
Yeah.
So then she ended up getting pulled out by the forceps. So they had to make the little cut down the side and then physically pull her out as well. And this is when a lot of people came into the room.
Yes.
So it got pretty overwhelming. So we had our two midwives in the room, and they were, we just wanted to try to do it ourselves.
Yeah.
And then they said, unfortunately, Bubs is stuck. We might just, call the doctor, get him to come up. Mm-hmm. Doctor came in, assessed the situation, and Abs was giving it her absolute all, and I'm so proud of her.
Yes.
Still am. Like, I'm still in awe of what she did. But it ended up being about 7 people in the room, excluding Abbey and I. So it did get quite overwhelming. And they did take over, which, again, was fine. Like, we have it was just a lot. It was a lot to take in, and I just became kind of like mute, and my whole focus just went on to Abbey. Mm-hmm. And then just everything in that moment, I just said, whatever you need to get just this last little bit, I was just there for her. Mm-hmm. And I was watching, my daughter sort of coming, and I forgot to dab Abby's forehead.
Yeah.
It was really cold in those rooms, but just the sweat, and then it was running into her eyes. She's like, "Excuse me, can you dab my forehead, please?" And I was like, "Oh, sorry." I just got sidetracked.
Just watching my baby being born, sorry.
I just got sidetracked. I was like, "I'm so sorry." And then our daughter came out.
Amazing.
And then, like, everything just was, like, quiet and just stopped. And then you hear the little cry. She had a bit of stuff, like, in her mouth. So she didn't cry, like, straight away.
Yeah.
And then she did get a little bit of assistance from one of the doctors just to sort of clear her mouth a bit. And then you could hear her. Was
that with, like, over on the little table?
Yeah. So we had a little bit of time before we first held her.
Yeah.
And I was helping Abbey, and then when she was on the table, I said, I actually said, "Do you mind if I go over and, see Maggie?" Or
yes.
Well, yeah, we had already had the name in our head, but I was like, "Do you mind?" And she's like, "No, like, go see her."
So good.
I had to ask permission. It was weird. I was like, I was not asking permission, but I just wanted her to be sure that she was okay.
Yeah.
Just in that split second.
Yeah.
So I went over and, we all met our daughter for the first time.
Ah, super special.
It was very special, but during everything ramped up, like, it got a lot more than what we anticipated for our birth plan. Mm-hmm. But again, we couldn't help what had unfolded.
Yeah.
It was just, we had our plans, it changed, we rolled with it, and then we, and here we are, 9 and a bit months later.
Absolutely. Rolling with it is important in the sense that things can change, and there's no point just holding stubbornly onto this, romanticized ideal that we had in our mind. And having a plan is super strong and powerful, and they can come to fruition. And especially when we have multiple plans for different situations that pop up. But it is just really that ultimate surrender of controlling what we can, which you guys absolutely did with your decision making, your birth environment, your birth preparation, and really flowing with the rest.
Yeah, 100%. Like, again, we didn't romanticize about certain things. We had our preferences. Mm-hmm. Well, I shouldn't say we. I should say Abbey had her preferences for her experience. Mm-hmm. But again, we had to adapt to the changes of what occurred. And, her body went through so much, and, like, we couldn't predict that, our daughter was going to twist
No.
And then she was going to get stuck. Like we pushed. Abbey did her absolute best, and again, I'll reiterate, I'm so proud of her.
Queen.
Everything, yeah, 100%.
She's amazing.
She's the best. But yeah, nothing can predict. Nothing is every birth is different, and nothing can prepare you for the things that are gonna happen. And that's where it's like, you know, you have that idea. You can't hold on to it. Like you can, but it's like, you know, sometimes you just got to surrender the fact that, okay, this isn't going to work. Let's just go with what will help us. Yes.
Exactly right. In this individual circumstance that is in front of me in my reality right now, what is the best choice?
That's it. And then, you know, and our decisions were never taken away from us. Like,
so good.
The doctors, you know, they said, oh, maybe we could, you know, put a balloon in the early stages. So when we first got to hospital, this was maybe like 6 or 7 in the morning. So our Abbey's dilation was like quite slow, again, but, you know, they like, oh, maybe we, you know, induce, you know, put the balloon in. They explained the whole experience. Yeah. And then they're like, oh, let's, you know, we'll let you guys think about it. We'll come back. And it wasn't, they were sort of reiterating that it might help. But Abbey and I had a pretty long discussion, and we both were agreed, like, things are progressing. They're slow, yes, but it is happening naturally. So let's just keep rolling with it. Amazing. So we just said, oh, maybe another hour.
Yeah.
And then they'd come back in. Oh, can you give us maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours? Come back in 2 hours. And then before you know it, you know, things had progressed enough that we didn't have to.
Amazing.
So that was one thing where I think, you know, high five ourselves for that.
Fuck yeah.
Because we didn't feel like we wanted to take the experience away, but, you know, as things progressed, you know, the erraticness and everything, then it was like, okay, we do need the help, but we didn't want to rush it. Again, like, that was our biggest thing, is like, okay, this is going to happen. We thought it was happening on the Wednesday. We thought it was happening on a Wednesday. Then it came through really early Thursday morning, and then she was born that Thursday night. But we were in the room for about I think it was just over 25 hours.
Yeah, right. So it doesn't include all the stuff at home.
No. So that didn't include the day before either. So yeah, it was quite a long ordeal. Yeah. Well, I wouldn't say ordeal. That's the wrong word. Sorry.
No, I know
process.
What you mean. Yeah.
But yeah, but that was the biggest thing, is like, yeah, they might talk and discuss things that may help progress things along, but ultimately it was Abbey's experience, it's your own experience. Be solid with your partner, have your plan, and again, as the dad, you know the plan. Your wife may not think, she might not be in that mindset of making the decisions, again, from the class. They're like, these decisions can't be made because she's going through so much. Like, let her fight in the cave. But again, you be the knight and just say, no, we have our plan. This is what we would like to do. We're going to stick with that. And if that, again, doesn't change, then the medical professionals say, this is what we have to do, then you kind of have to surrender that. But fight the fight with her and support her for what she wanted the experience to be. Yes, could not agree more. 2 really great points that I wanted to bring up on what you said was that you saying, so them offering the balloon and you having a moment to think about it. Yeah. And you made super clear, which is a really great aspect of your decision making, is that, 1, there is no rush. Baby's well, mum is well. There is no rush to speed up this process. Yep. So you came to that conclusion and you went ahead with that, using like in our decision making, and we talk about, what if I was to wait? Like, a lot of things we feel like we have to say yes and we have to say no. But a lot of the time, if we don't know and there is no rush because everyone's well, let's just give it a few hours and see what happens. Yeah, 100%. So that was a really great call. And the other thing that was really great about that is that
when you did make the decision, give us like 2 hours or so and come back, that is 2 hours of them leaving and it being just 2 hours of you and Abs uninterrupted, oxytocin stimulating, so safe, so protected, so loving and connecting, which is all the oxytocin vibes. And no wonder her contractions just went 0 to 100. She was fueled with oxytocin environments and vibes.
Yeah, it was just, and it was very calming because, you know, it was a dark room with the lights. But yeah, it just gave us that time to help bub along in our own way. And every parent is going to have their own way. But yeah, it was just the two of us, and 100%. It was just like, you know, just give us the time. Don't rush it.
So good.
So yeah, that was unreal.
So good. So good. Okay, so as like some more kind of succinct questions.
Yeah.
What's your biggest tips for dads on how to support their woman in labour?
Ooh. Just I've already said it, and I've probably repeated myself 100 times. But again, just be really in tune with your partner. Tend to their every need, no matter how crazy it may sound. Just tend to it. Foot massages, back rubs, hand, like just little soft touches, moisturiser, anything that they want. Just do. Again, I said it. Don't think, just do.
I was just going to say that.
Pretty much. Like, that could just be the whole summary of this whole question for a dad. Don't think, just do. But yeah, no, definitely just be in tune with your partner. Ride the wave of emotions that comes with it. There's a lot of ups, a lot of downs. Again, like, fellas don't... Oh, I mean, that's pretty stereotypical. No, I shouldn't say that. It's like how guys deal with their emotions are all different. I know we don't like... Generally, it's like hard to talk about sometimes, but in that moment, be really vulnerable with your partner. You know, you can say, "Oh, I know this is really hard," but guys don't know how hard it is because we'll never go through it. So, just try to, just be really in sync, help them breathe. Just ride the wave and just be there. Like, don't plant the seed of doubt. You know, don't say, oh, no, maybe you can't do this and we need all the help. It's like, no, you guys can do it. Just be there for them. Like, that's pretty much bottom line. It's just be there, rock. Don't think, just do. And just be really vulnerable in that moment and enjoy the experience. It's a lot, but enjoy it. Like, doesn't come around every day. Like, I mean, people with big families... Like, you've done the experience once, and each experience is different, but it's a very humbling, magical moment of your life, and just really enjoy it.
So true, so true. Riding that emotional wave is really important. That was something, even as a midwife, I had to have a moment of, like, realising how emotional it was and how much I need to control my own emotion in not being taken on that ride. Because, fuck, they're convincing, right? Like, if they're up, they're down, you know, they've got doubt. They are so convincing in that moment that can bring that franticness to the
that's it, like,
provider.
That's 100%. Like, it goes 0 to 100 in a split second. So it's like, okay, how do we bring it down to 80? Not hit 100, like, okay, moments are high, emotions are high, there's adrenaline, you know, more, like, everything is happening. Let's bring it down to 80. And then, you know, even words of reassurance sometimes might go a long way. It's just like, oh, just breathe, let's go through this. And then all of a sudden the 100 comes down to 80. So, let's bring it back to 60, then to 40, and then we're calm again.
Yes.
Yeah, it's just, it's a lot. And... You know, each partner's different. They might tell you, you know, oh, you know, don't touch me, or, you know, maybe just walk away, or, but don't. Like, don't, listen, yes, but, like, just don't do that, because they're not thinking. They're in that reptilian brain, so it's like, you know, even if they're saying, you know, don't touch me, don't touch them, but just be there next to them, breathe with them, hold, like, support them.
Yes.
Do everything with and ride the emotion with them.
Yes. So true. So true. So true. So what would be your biggest tips to dads to prepare for birth? So if we're imagining a first-time dad's got a pregnant wife at the moment.
Definitely do a bit of reading about, I guess, the experience.
Yeah.
And actually,
do you have a suggested book for dads?
I don't actually. No, I mean, you can just go to Google. I wouldn't watch a video because it might turn a few people off. But definitely attending classes like your class opened my eyes into what was going to happen, but how much we actually are needed in that moment.
Yes.
So Natural Birth Co. Definitely attend those classes for dads. Yeah, 100%. I came in, I was very anxious, obviously, about being a dad and the whole experience. And I voiced that to Abbey, and that may have been one of the reasons why we went to your class. But as soon as we went in there, I was just like a sponge, got all this knowledge, and honestly, that calmed me right down to being able to help in that and knowing what's gonna happen. But nothing will prepare you for that moment. But it is just to help, the positions and having the plans and having, just little things packed, like, pack your hospital bag like a week before, not the night of. Like
dads in their hospital bags, fuck, it astounds me how many don't have it packed until they're leaving for hospital.
Yeah, 100%. But see, so we didn't know, but, the weekend before, I was like, okay, let's pack the bag now because you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
But yeah, just little things like that. But yeah, definitely just, do a bit of research, help, learn positions, learn the stages of like the birthing experience, and then the tips to help with that experience. And then, but I mean, the person, as a dad, your spouse as good as anyone. Just be in tune with them.
Perfect.
That's probably the biggest thing, is just be in tune with your partner, and everything just comes naturally.
Could not agree more. I love that. Would you be in agreement of the best way of being in tune with your partner is just open communication through pregnancy?
Yes. Yeah, like you got to have open communication, because if you're confused on two things or you haven't communicated something, then again, it may not go to the way you want it. So like if I communicated to Abbey I was anxious, or Abbey communicated, this is what I would like to do for my birth plan, this is what we need, then it's like, brilliant. We already have boxes ticked.
Yeah. We
have a plan that comes from that, and then you start having those conversations.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the number one thing.
Love. Okay, so finally, how has the transition to fatherhood been? What's the biggest adjustments and tips preparing to be a dad, and what type of dad do you want to be to little Mags?
Yeah, being a father's unreal. I'll just say it is amazing. The transition to fatherhood happens in a split second.
Yeah.
Because then all of a sudden you're blessed with either, your loving daughter or son. I was lucky, Maggie, we named our daughter Maggie. She's gorgeous. I love her so much. She's honestly it's a roller coaster of emotions, but honestly, anything to do for her, like to see her smile and laugh and even cry and giggle, like you're so in tune with them. Just being a dad is awesome. It's so cool watching them grow and learn and develop. Biggest tips is obviously sleeping becomes tough. I wouldn't say tough. It becomes difficult because, early stages they're awake a lot. So definitely rest where you can, especially, and support your partner in those early stages, because, mums do all the groundwork for, the first 12 months pretty well. So really just support your partner again with that, like, if they're, breastfeeding or bottle feeding, they're doing it a lot. So, even if it's just a simple, breakfast, coffee, massage of the feet while they're doing that, that type of thing.
So good.
But for dads, definitely find be adjustable with your routine. Sleep is the biggest thing. If you can snag a 2-hour sleep during the day on a weekend, do it. Yeah. A tired dad is a grumpy dad, and a grumpy dad isn't going to be the right dad to support your partner. So, we don't want any grumpy dads.
So true.
I'll stick my hand up. I've been caught in that bubble. of just being tired.
I feel tired men are just grumpy men.
Yeah, I'll stick my hand up. I'm honest.
Good on you, man.
I've been stuck being a grumpy dad because I've been tired.
Yeah.
But adjusting your routine, you know, you definitely exercise is important, but it's not as important as missing time with your daughter or your son. Like, you know, if you work long hours and you go to the gym before or after work, and if you can maybe adjust that routine or shorten it. So like, okay, if I go to the gym 6 days a week, maybe I go to 3. It's just for the first 12 to 2 years. Like, it's a short period of time, you know, or just the times you go, oh, they're going down for a sleep at midday on the weekend. That's when I can go do something.
Yeah.
Or, you know, or if something does just have to get done, then, you know, go do it. But don't prioritise, you know, certain things over time with your family, because you'll never get these little moments back.
Yes.
And again, I'll stick my hand up. I've prioritised a few things which at the wrong time.
Right.
And then you reflect back on it and go, yep, okay, that was wrong.
So good. But that awareness, right? Rather than reflecting back when they're like 10 and they're too cool for school and you're like, fuck, I shouldn't have, you know, prioritized these other things back then. Yeah, it's so good that you can reflect.
But I mean,
now.
like, a lot of places now, you know, you can take your daughter to, or you can take your kid to, you know, gyms or whatever. But even if it's like, okay, well, rather than going to the gym, we'll go for a walk along the beach, but go as a family. Or some days after work, I come home and I work long days, so, you know, mum's had her all day. Walk through the door, she's all bundles of joy, and it's like, righto, grab her, grab the dogs, we're going for a walk.
Yes.
And then that just gives mum that 20 minutes of peace and quiet that she deserves, because she's been doing everything all day. And, you know, dads think, oh, we're going back to work, you know, like, work's a lot. Work is work. Parenting is a whole nother level, especially at these early stages. So, you know,
so good.
Give your partner her own space during the day, just so she can have that hot cup of coffee or watch that episode of a TV show that they've been wanting to do, or, you know, do something, get their nails done. Just go do something for them, because 90% of their role, like, as a parent transitions is like, it's them. Like, it's their daughter, it's their son. That's, you know, that's their main care. So give them that opportunity just to have their bit of time.
That's so lovely of you. I couldn't agree more. And I just think as well, when you guys can be so accommodating to that, it's going to make her so much more, you know, when you get home from that walk, you've had a big day at work, you've just done this, like, you go and have a shower and have half an hour while I have everything, and you go just be by yourself for half an hour.
Yeah.
And it's just this more team camaraderie rather than this, like, I've been looking after the kids all day, I've been at work all day. Like, it's just this.
Yeah, it happens. Like, it happens. And it's like, what you do and what they do, it's not a competition. You know, team, your wife and you're a team, and as a parent, you got to be strong as a team in that moment. But, like, doesn't matter if, you know, it's been a 35-degree day, blistering hot, and you're exhausted, just to give, you know, your partner that 10 minutes to have a shower or whatever it is, regardless of how exhausted you are, is, like, number one. That's probably a big thing as well. You know, so I mean, there's probably a million other tips there for dads, but, you know, find a good sleep routine, sneak a nap where you can, you know, eat well, because, you know, exercise can become limited. You know, adjust your routine. If you're a mad fitness freak, that's great, but adjust your routine. So, you know, I was training for a few things on my bike, and it was like, okay, well, then rather than riding, you know, after work, I might get up at 3 a.m. Seems crazy, but it's how I made it work. So go for a ride at 3 a.m., get home at 5, Bubs is awake, we get breakfast, get ready for work, go to work. Sick. Come back. You know, weekends are like, cherish your weekends. You know, spend a lot of time with them. You know, just that, like, just family time's, massive, and I just want to be a big, like, I love family, so it's like I just want to be there for him, pretty much.
Love that so much. I think that's a good takeaway is reflect on your priorities, and there's no right or wrong, as you say, but just consciously think about it.
Yeah.
And consciously, with intention, make the decision on what you're choosing to prioritize.
That's it, yeah, 100%. Like, and voice it, like open communication with your partner. So if you say, oh, I want to go to the gym or the shops or a ride or the beach or whatever it is, just say, yeah, perfect. Let's do that at this time, and then I can take, I'll take Mags and you go do that, and then might be a couple of hours or 10 minutes, or we all go to the shops together, and then it's like I'll go get my nails done, and it's like, great, Mags and I'll go grab coffees, go for a walk, cruise around.
Yeah.
If it just makes it easier if you openly talk about it.
Yes.
Don't just go, you disappear, and then you're like, where'd you go?
Yes.
It's like, oh, I'm riding. Sorry. It's like, oh, well, plan it.
Yeah. Or like saying it as if like, this is what I'm doing. And then like not kind of checking in. Not that you have to ask for permission, but it's just that respect.
No, 100%.
Isn't it?
Like, that's one thing Abby's always told me, because I've always like, oh, is it okay if I go riding? Like, I'm asking for permission. It's like, she's always like, no, don't say, oh, is it okay? Just say, I'm going riding at these times. Will that work? And if it goes, no, it doesn't work, it's like, okay, no worries. Again, I adjusted the routine. It was like riding in the morning wasn't working because I was waking everyone up at 3 a.m. No one wants that. So I'd go at night, 8 o'clock at night. I'd go, okay, everyone's asleep. I'll sneak back in. And that worked for a bit, but I wouldn't do it all the time because you get exhausted and you're
tired.
Like, I'm going to bed.
Totally. 8 o'clock, yeah, hit the hay for sure.
Oh, last night was 7 o'clock. It's like, so good.
Crazy Friday night.
Yeah, loose.
Thank you so much for jumping on the podcast, Matt.
No, that's all right,
I really appreciate it. You're a fucking gun of a man, and I'm
thanks.
so stoked to have you on.
No, thank you so much for your time. It's been awesome. Cheers.
My pleasure.